Hello, and welcome to the Digital Workspace Works podcast. I'm Ryan Purvis, your host, supported by our producer Heather Bicknell. In this series, you'll hear stories and opinions from experts in the field, stories from the front lines, the problems they face and how they solved them, the areas they focused on, from technology, people and processes, to the approaches they took that will help you to get to the grips with the digital workspace inner workings.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I've just recovered from another bout of COVID, I think. I was down from, it started probably on Friday, but geez, I still went to gym on the Saturday, and I was tired on Saturday, but not too bad. I could feel it coming. Like Friday was definitely, I could feel it, and then Saturday I knew it was coming, and then Sunday I was just down. Like it took every, that COVID tiredness. Like you just can't do anything. You just want to sleep all the time. And my poor mom came over. She was here for a conference in Manchester, and then came down to see us before she went back last night. And she basically arrived to both my wife and I down with COVID, sleeping. My daughter being sick. My son was like full of energy, and thank God she was here, because at least she was able to spend time with him and keep him busy. Because we were basically taking turns sleeping for an hour, and then watching the kids. Yeah, absolute carnage. And I took yesterday off, and I always get a chest infection as well. So it's a little bit extra for me. I would say a little bit extra, but it's always that much more irritating for me, because I've got this chest infection. I get a lot of phlegm and all that kind of stuff, but all the gory details. But yeah, it's amazing how literally it's clockwork. It starts on the Friday, and it's usually 4 or 5 days later, and I'm fine. Nothing happened. But for those 3 or 4 days, it's terrible. It's like the worst feeling in the world. Death -1.
Oh, well, that sounds horrible. I'm sorry. I'm glad you're
I think so.
seeing the other side of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, it comes so quickly, and then it goes so quickly, and you almost feel like, what was the big deal? But it's bad. And I read somewhere that there's another version of COVID that's come out, KP 1.3 or something. This new variant. Yeah, it's just nasty. But I'm not doing any vaccinations or anything, so I'm just taking it as it comes. Not that I'm anti-vaxxer, but I just feel like you just take your chances now.
Well, I'm excited for this. I'm not that excited, but this, I guess, flu season. I've heard that they're working on a flu COVID combo shot, and I usually go and I get mine both at the same time. So I have like 2 super sore arms. And then it's a little hit or miss with the COVID vaccine if I'll get the chills or anything like that. So hopefully I can just get one shot this time and only have 1 super sore arm. That would be a win.
I don't mind the vaccine for flu, because I tend to think that is worth it, and definitely have found, because when we had winter here, flu always happens. That having had the vaccine versus not having the vaccine for flu has been a noticeable difference. However, with the COVID one, I'm avoiding it if it's the mRNA version. I've been reading too much around that stuff, and I just think it's too dangerous. And there's a lot of scientists that I listen to, and even some of them are saying like, yeah, it's too early. Even though it's not an old technology. I mean, it's been around 30 years, 20 years, just not proven itself yet. So I don't know. Easy enough, I only ever got sick with COVID when I took the mRNA vaccination, and when I had the traditional vaccine, which was done by Johnson & Johnson, I didn't get sick. Not that we're going to all the conspiracy theories and all the rest of it. But
What else is new? Well, was there anything you wanted to chat about today?
Well, you sent me the biggest feature update for Apple, the Apple Watch, which I thought was quite funny. The ability to have a rest and not break your what's it called? Not series, sequence. Streak. That's it. I knew it was in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It feels like a very, very basic feature, but I'm glad to see them actually iterating on the help features in the watch, because really, since they've released the hardware, besides adding more sensors to pick up kind of like some additional health details, I feel like they haven't really worked on the rings system at all. So now you'll be able to set, I'm taking today as a rest day. So that's a win for me. And then the other big thing that they're bringing is the ability to set your goals for different days. So kind of set a schedule, which again, I'm really excited about because, you know, I have my cardio days, my strength days, my rest days, and my, you know, flexibility and yoga days. And it would be really nice to program my schedule around my goals accordingly instead of like struggling to hit my rings on my rest days and, you know, blowing past them on my harder workout days. So I think these are welcome changes.
Yeah, I mean, I read the article and I tended to see like being sick now. You know, closing my rings would have been very difficult. You know, if I didn't have a rest day, but I still close my rings even when I'm sick. So it may I'm a bit OCD about it. So I don't think necessarily having the rest thing would matter to me too much. But then again, I also make my rings really low. So yeah, that's how I've solved the problem. And I feel like I'm still getting my incentive, which is to keep moving. And I do think my recovery is better because I used to keep moving. And even on my, you know, I don't lift weights every day, but I do try and lift weights pretty much 5 days a week. Those are the rings don't matter in that context. That's more of like a mental thing. And if you look at Nolan Ryan, who's probably one of the best pitchers ever, and the longest longevity. I mean, he pitched for like 40 years or 50 years. He never stopped. He would train. His preparation was, you know, extensive. But even when he wasn't training, he was still playing golf or going for walks or hikes or whatever. So every day was an activity day. And I kind of feel like that's probably the way we were designed to be. Every day you would have been walking. If you're a caveman, Neanderthal, you would have been walking everywhere. No cars, no planes, no trains, etc. So I think activity every day is good. So I could see the resting in the case of like you've had heart surgery and you need to take a break. You can't get out the bed and you don't lose a streak. But I think, you know, for the average person, we should be able to do 20 minutes a day, which is what my exercise thing is.
Well, see, this is why I think it's nice to have the programmability as well, because then you could lower your goals. Because I know you can manually do it, but then, you know, you can't control it day by day. So I think these are good changes. I think it's still kind of funny. You know, you mentioned steps. Apple doesn't have any way for you to make a step goal on your watch. There's probably third-party apps that let you do it, but the Apple Watch doesn't support that versus, you know, all the other ones and different ecosystems.
I've never noticed that. I mean, I've never noticed that as a problem. Ironically, I had a Fitbit for ages. I used to wear them on each wrist. And I always used to like that little feeling on my wrist when it would give me the 12,500 buzz or the 15,000 buzz, whatever I'd set it to it on that week. And I think I even tried to do it with the shortcut once, see if I could do it. And I actually think you can't do it. I don't think there's even a shortcut option because my frustration in that sense is if you look at the Apple Watch, and I'm looking at it now, for example, for the step count, it's not accurate to that point in time. It might actually still load more steps like in 5 minutes time. You've walked around a bit. So you don't actually get that, like with the Fitbit, you get it straight away. And what I was trying to do was just, I wanted to always hit my 12,500 target. And I didn't want to keep looking at my watch because to look at my watch wastes my time. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to scroll and look at it. Because I was using the little widget on the screen and the widget on the screen wasn't updating at all, which I found even more frustrating at the time. I mean, it's probably been fixed, you know, long time ago now, but it's a good point. Just having a little bit of notification that you've hit your target or having a target to hit, it's important to the psyche.
I'll need to play around with my watch face, but I don't even think you can display your steps on your watch face. It's more just like, you know, getting that reminder. Can you? Okay. Well, maybe I just need to switch.
You can. Yeah. You've got to. Yeah. Well, you could. You know, who knows? Maybe someone took it away. But what I remember about it was it wasn't always up to date. So, in fact, I'm looking at it now quickly, and the problem we had is that if you looked at it, it would still be on. You'd have to click on it for it to refresh. That was the problem. So it kind of defeated the whole point. And then I downloaded another tool, another app called Pedometer +++. Yeah, 2 pluses. And that's how I sort of got because you couldn't get it out of the health. It's not on there as a standard complication. It's got to be it's got to be a separate thing. In fact, I'm looking at it now to see, and it's not here. It must have been that other tool. Yeah. Yeah. So health. So where is it? Pedometer +++. And then you can pick. Yeah. So now I've got on my complication, but you can't see on my watch now. But my watch says it's 0 still. So I've got the complication there now saying, show me your steps, but it's 0. Even though the watch will tell me that I'm on, hang on, I've got to allow it to access. Yeah, so it's a bit weird, to be honest. I mean, it's such a simple thing.
So basic.
Apple does all these wonderful things, but they just don't do the basic stuff. Yeah, it's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
Well, maybe these 2 changes are the sign of some more updates to come. We can only hope.
Well, look, it's still the watch I'd go to as my default. I mean, I've seen some really nice Android ones now. Like my brother's got a really nice one, and other guys have had some nice looking ones. But the thing is, I just wouldn't want to lose what I have with Apple. I'm well and truly locked in.
I'm right there with you. I like the interoperability for sure. But sometimes the partner is a Garmin and I'm like, that can do a lot of fancy calculations, and the data that it displays is way more advanced. So, pros and cons.
Well, yeah, and I think, I mean, I remember reading a review that pretty much put the Apple Watch Ultra as the best sports watch all around, and I think that's kind of true. And I also look at it from I tried on some Apple glasses at this event I was at a couple of weeks ago.
Ooh.
And I'm kind of waiting for the next version of that to replace my watch. The next wearable. What is that next wearable that's going to be useful? Anyway, the glass experience was really cool. I was very impressed. I don't think I was 3,500 pounds impressed, but I was impressed. I think it's a lot of money for what it was, but it was pretty cool. And the guys that did it, so we had a FinTech event called Money 2020. And these guys were a crypto exchange, well, the full service. And what they were doing was showing you the experience of using the payment gateway to purchase something. So they had a lady there. She sits you down on a chair. She gives you the glass, gets it all up and ready. She puts it on your head, teaches you how to use it very quickly. And the instructions inside, as you expect from Apple, are really good. And use your fingers to click. And then you basically use your hands to scroll the web page, pick a product from the web page, and then check it out using your fingers. And your eyes are used to navigate, which is quite cool as well. In fact, I would have happily spent more time just playing with the glass stuff just to get used to it. But anyway, and then you just click and you're done. And whatever you chose to buy is what they actually give you as the promo gift. So I got myself a little water bottle that I picked. But it was a very clever way to articulate, something I'll always remember now as a way to do it. And the glasses on my head were not that heavy in hindsight. Like I remember feeling them, but I actually thought about I could probably have worn them the whole day. And you do see the rest of because it's an augmented reality, so you still see what's out in front of you. I saw the rest of the booth and all that kind of stuff. The thing that was quite heavy was the battery pack. That was a chunky battery pack. I mean, it was still the sort of size of a phone, in the sense of thickness and width and height and stuff. But it was on a long, thick cable, and you could always feel like if I put that in my pocket and I was going to spend like 3 hours or whatever the battery life is using it, I would feel it in my pocket. I'd feel that weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be something you have to put on the desk. But then I can imagine you walking away with the glasses on while you walk to get yourself a cup of coffee and come back, and the battery pack swinging off and hitting something. So you'd have to probably attach it to yourself, not put it in your pocket. But it was an impressive thing, I must admit. I look forward to that coming down in price. Like when that's like $300, like the competitors are, then it'd be worthwhile doing.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen many people talk about the Apple Vision Pro lately, but it's really interesting to bring it to a trade show. I imagine they were attracting people to their booth just by nature of, the ability to try out that device.
Oh yeah, completely novel experience and very clever. They must have it, obviously they're making a lot of money if they using toys like that. But that was it. Yeah, there was a few lines to get down there, and only had 1 or 2 there, so it was whatever. But it was interesting actually doing that event. Come to think of it, how much a difference having a QR code for scanning someone's badge versus having a barcode made a difference. So we went to 2 events in a row, one in London, one in Amsterdam. One in London, you get your name badge, you got your QR code, you walk up, you got the app, you scan the guy or girl's QR code, and you're connected. and the stand is like this. 1 second, no problem. But then we had at the second event, it was all barcode, and you had to like play the game of angle and organize the thing. It was terrible, and the glare from the lights made such a difference that if the thing was crinkled, the plastic covering for your name badge was crinkled, you couldn't scan it. You had to like flatten it and then get the angle right and then scan it. Whereas the QR code just was not a problem. So it's interesting. Both of them used the same events app. So that capability was the same. It was just a choice on barcode that made a big difference to the experience.
I'll have to note that down.
Yeah, what if you're running an event?
Not barcodes.
Yeah, look, I mean, the apps were good. I was quite impressed. They used Apple Beacon technology to help you navigate around the halls at the big event. The big event was 3 big halls in the Rai Center in Amsterdam, the convention center, and that obviously beaconed all the points. So like when because you were trying to have meetings with people, it'd be like, I'm meeting you at Center Court, I'm meeting you at S18 or whatever it is. They had a live digital map, and you would use that to navigate the event. And it was actually really accurate. And I didn't realize, I was trying to work out how they were doing it for ages. And then when they were packing up, when they were packing up, at least at the end on the 3rd day, I saw a lady, she was trying to reach for something. I went and helped, and then I realized that she was pulling a beacon down. And I haven't seen a beacon in 10 years. I mean, I thought the technology had been thrown away.
Sensors are still a thing. I don't know. Did you use them when you were implementing hot desking technology, or no? Was it not that?
Not really. No, we did something else at that stage. But when I was at JLL, we looked at them. They'd just come out and putting them in malls and stuff. But now in sort of mentioning it to a few people, they're going, oh yeah, no, they use it everywhere. They're still running, but they're just not branded like they were. They're not an Apple beacon. It's just an iBeacon product called iBeacon.
Yeah, I don't know about the Apple brand ones, but the sensors generally, a lot of, hybrid office, workplace experience, kind of management, implementation will use them to get real time, how many people in their space. Can we rationalize or right size our office space if it's underutilized? So I think they're definitely kind of big in the reinvention of the office, kind of post remote work, moving back to hybrid and in office.
Well, yeah, because I initially thought they were using the cell phones. I thought it was some sort of low power Bluetooth location system that way. But obviously when I found the devices, it was quite cool. And then the other thing they did, which I thought was quite clever, is they had their own large language model chatbot for the event. So they had, where we were based, so with 3 halls, we were in the hall where they had like a nature speaking platform, so a stage, but it was all green, all plants, etc. And they'd obviously have their panels throughout the day. And then in between the panels, the master of ceremonies would basically talk with the LLM. I can't remember what they called her, but they'd ask you questions, and then she'd been preloaded, obviously, with all the data around all the stands and all the exhibitors and all the sponsors and all that kind of stuff. And then she was actually quite conversational. I was quite impressed. And they used a Dutch accent because we're obviously in Amsterdam, but it came across very well, but then also very clunky. So because obviously as they would have all these sessions during the day, she would be listening as this bot. I'm going to call it a bot because I think it's a robot. She was listening the entire day to all the conversations, obviously transcribing it. And then he would ask her like the next day, so tell me out of yesterday's session, what was the most important thing you heard? And she'd say, blah, 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 this was the most important thing I heard. And then he'd say, okay, after that one, what was the next most important thing you heard? And then she'd just repeat the same thing. She'd say it a different way, but she'd repeat the same thing, like just get stuck. So it was a little bit quirky in that sense. But I think the concept was great. And I could just imagine, I mean, I was using my ChatGPT bot app all the time when I was doing my sort of stuff. And I could just imagine it being that little bit further on where you're now sitting talking to somebody, because I met like 500 people in the 3 days. I mean, it was literally, relentless. And like just capturing all your notes into your ChatGPT agent that's with you, or that ChatGPT agent is with you, listening to all the conversations. And then at the end of the day, say, okay, summarize my day. Who did I talk to? What's the opportunity for us? Da, 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 da. and you have this nicely spit out, at least more formalized plan of attack to follow up and catch up with these people.
Yeah, I could see if it works well, it's accurate. Trying to take notes when you're on the show floor is it's a really difficult exercise. And I've seen a lot of just really scrappy, typos, what are people even saying about, people are trying to capture it in the moment, but when there's so much going on.
Yeah, it's relentless. I mean, you basically go from one person to one person to one person to one person, or you chat to this person, and then as you're about to go write down the note, somebody else comes and has a chat to you, and you're like, oh, okay, now who was that guy again, and who was she again? What was
You're
that?
immediately gonna lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to the point I was just scanning people's things and going, well, I hope when we contact you, I can remember what we discussed, because right now I can't. I mean, I don't drink, so I don't know how guys who are drinking would keep track. All those drunken conversations, 3:00 in the morning, craziness.
I think most of the time just hoping you remember a name and a face. And
well, yeah, my rough calculation always with an event is you've got to get one lead to pay for the event. So that's how you work it out. So if we close one deal per event, then
they usually pay for themselves.
Then they're worth it. But also it's brand awareness. You're getting out there to be seen, and people see you, and then it's amazing how people judge, especially the big players. Oh, last year they had a big stand. This year they have a small stand. Are they in trouble?
So much reading into it.
Maybe they just want to have a big stand because the last year they cost them $300,000, so they decided to spend $150 this year because they wanted to bring 10 more people.
Or maybe they're going to more events.
It's
their strategy. I have noticed. I was just reflecting on this yesterday that I feel like we're starting to swing away from digital marketing a little bit more en masse. Just seeing, I feel like trade shows are much bigger this year. They've, sort of been slowly coming back, but a lot of the shows, it's everyone's just kind of waiting to see what everyone else does. Because if people don't go, the whole thing kind of falls flat. So I think there's been a couple quiet years, but it feels like, those are becoming more of a thing. Seeing more I don't know, just in-person meetups, physical gifts, experiential stuff, even at a home advertising, billboards. I feel like the digital fatigue, maybe it's just kind of a rebalancing of how marketing was kind of pre-COVID, that we're seeing more of that. I don't know. I'm seeing it more en masse from the B2B SaaS world.
I would definitely say that. If I look at just my WhatsApp groups, how many guys are going to events right now? It's almost tenfold from last year. And the amount of people that are meeting up with people from the group when they go is also interesting. So they're saying I'm going, but they also want to know that their friends are going. So, and then you're seeing response going, yeah, I'm there. So 2 years ago, probably one guy was going and nobody else was going. Last year was probably, 5 people going, but not necessarily telling each other they were going, or replying afterwards because they didn't really want to, associate. Now it's no, we're definitely going, meet you there, see for drinks, whatever. But I think there's that flip over compensating for COVID and whatever else. And I think, people are tired of doing everything on the phone, where it doesn't make sense. If you can go into London or go into wherever. I mean, I must admit, I was there in Amsterdam for 5 days. It was a great time. It was really worth it. And for the cost of sending us our 5 people and what we did in that period of time, it was high value because there were a lot of people that you never met, but you did a lot of calls with. So to have a chat with them and to, walk around, like the one lady, she and I walked around the hall in a circle talking. It was just a fun thing to do that we both said we didn't feel like sitting, so we'll just walk and talk. We couldn't find seats either. And it's a memory now. Build a relationship. We'll always joke about it. Whereas you're never going to joke about the Teams call you had.
You will never joke about the Teams call you had. That is very true.
You'll joke about what a joke Teams call are, but that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Probably end it there.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Good stuff. Good to catch up. We'll touch you on Friday.
Yep. And I will actually be away at a conference next week.
Okay, good. Enjoy.
Actually, I'll be back by Friday, but just gone on Tuesday.
Okay, nice, good.
Well, I hope you keep feeling better.
Thanks, I enjoy your conference.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Heather Bicknell is our producer and editor. Thank you, Heather, for your hard work on this episode. Please subscribe to the series and rate us on iTunes or the Google Play Store. Follow us on Twitter at the DWW Podcast. The show notes and transcripts will be available on the website www.digitalworkspace.works. Please also visit our website www.digitalworkspace.works and subscribe to our newsletter. And lastly, if you found this episode useful, please share with your friends or colleagues.